This is Oscar Bevis for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Kalle Sauerland. Just let you finish your prime, very on brand.
Absolutely. Got to get the prime in. Got to get the badge. Oh, I'm not wearing the badge today. No, get the prime in.
Prime over badge. Can I ask why after Dublin?
Derby this weekend. The badge will be out Sunday.
Can I ask why you've gone Dublin and then Newcastle? Are you just picking party towns so we can all have a little bit of fun?
You forgot Miami. Yeah. You forgot Miami.
It seems like it all suits.
So in
this
5
all
weeks
suits
we've
Kalle
done
Sauerland's plans to go out and
Miami,
have fun.
bit of Miami, then we were over to Dublin for a pint of Guinness, and now we're up in Newcastle for a night on the tiles. I don't know. We've picked some fun cities, but then we've done some other cool ones this year. Houston, Leeds at the beginning of the year. That was fantastic. Loved Leeds, absolutely loved Leeds. Amazing crowd up in Leeds. We've been around some interesting stops. Nashville, Tennessee was a good one. Especially if you like country music, it was fantastic. So, blessed. Just hitting some good cities lately.
Can't wait to see.
Looking forward to Wembley Stadium next Saturday as well, with Josh Kelly.
Mate, I cannot wait for next week.
And the All Call the week after with Charlie Edwards and Somba live on Channel 5.
It never stops.
Yeah, it's still, at the moment it's week after week, and it's great. It's good fun.
Do you prefer it when it's like intense and it's consistent fight weeks?
I
do sometimes sit there and think I actually just need a week to relax a little bit?
No, listen, I live for this. I've been doing it a quarter of a century, so I wouldn't know what else to do with my time. But I do enjoy. It's weird. I do enjoy those 6, 7, 8 weeks when you don't break and just go back to back, and then have a couple of weeks off. And it's and in those couple of weeks off, though, you're normally planning already the next sort of sequence after the next sequence, if that makes sense. I remember World Boxing Super Series. We did. I think that was the biggest 8 weeks that any promoters have ever done in the world, because we went country to country 8 weeks. So we've had runs of 8 weeks before, and lots of promoters do it now. Match will do it all the time, but to do 8 weeks the way we did it, from like Eastern Russia to San Antonio to Glasgow, Berlin, Riga, you can't make it up. That was by far in the history of boxing the most 8 intense weeks. It was insane. That was like the rock and roll train. And it was great fun, and hopefully we get a World Boxing Super Series again soon.
Oh, mate, I hope so, because I missed the World Boxing Super
Everyone
Series,
does.
and it was just before I come into the sport as well.
Everyone does.
So, got to work in the sport, so gutted about that. Right, Misfits on this card, a second headline for Elle Brooke. I think a lot of the conversations have been there's a potential Misfits superstar in there. I don't think potential needs to come into it. I think she is a Misfits superstar.
Listen, look, she headlined in Houston earlier this year as the B-side, rightly so. Paige Van Zandt, a sort of fighting icon legend, UFC, bare knuckle, America's Strictly Come Dancing, so it's a real superstar. Definitely the biggest female name we've been lucky enough to have on Misfits. Elle went over there. She knew it was a bit of a gamble, but did the business in style. Dropped her, won the fight. She's done great stuff with Mark Tibbs. Great stuff. They have really, really developed her. But the punching power is natural. You can't teach that. Mark's, for me, one of the best trainers out there. But you can improve punching power. But she's got a natural punching power that can cross over into the traditional sport of boxing. I think she's the first of the Misfits champs that can and will take on a regular boxing world champion. So I think that's going to be a real story, and that's not going to please a lot of people. There's going to be some people shaking their heads right now. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I can't help that, but that will come. That will come. I see Ebony Bridges mentioned. It'll be a great fight. Not sure where the weights are on that at the moment, but that can be made. Brilliant. They used to train together as well. I don't know if there's something there in the air, but listen. I'll tell you something else. She does bigger numbers than any female combat sports person in the world right now.
It's definitely a bright future, and
that includes all of them. Where UFC, boxing, doesn't matter. There's no one that does bigger numbers than Elle Brooke.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the Ebony Bridges fight, and it's something that Mam spoke about yesterday. And you said people might shake their heads at something like that. But if you're good enough, why not?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Elle doesn't make a secret that she's got a career in OnlyFans, and that's what she does. That's cool. But you can't disrespect someone who gets into the ring and is proper talented and is properly taking. He's taken a pro gym. He's working so hard in putting the hours in to improve the craft and the craft of boxing, and I think it was a side job. Now it's the day job, and OnlyFans career is sort of the side job. Now I can't work out. You have to ask her, but she puts a lot into boxing, and hard work pays off. And she really, it's just a great little storyline, great big storyline.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how she performs on Saturday night. Another thing about the card, Misfits Pro, Chris Avila, by the way. I don't know if it is a persona. I've never known a man look less bothered about what's going to go down. But when he stepped in the ring, we've seen that he can fight. But he's yawning at the press conference.
The thing is, he's not really
like you just come off of a nap.
Quite often you see quite a lot of scrappers at Misfits. They're for almost a bar brawl, which is quite entertaining to watch. So Chris Avila. So first of all, I think the State Pro tournament is fantastic. It's a sort of a prize fighter version. If you don't know what the State Pro tournament is, it's semi-finals and a final all in one night. But Chris Avila, he comes out the Stockton gym, obviously with Nate Diaz. They're mostly MMA guys, right? But he's actually a seriously skillful little boxer. I don't know his motivations, but especially on the inside, he's very technical. Yeah, and you watch him, and he's not only pro level, he's a very decent pro level, and he's learning as well. Still, he's developing very well, but I can't work him out. I don't know. He always sort of looks a bit vacant, like he's like in his own world, and but he's fucking. I shouldn't be swearing. It's a family channel, I know, but he's just he's very, very talented, yeah? And being around Nate Diaz and the people around that Stockton gym, it's a proper fighting crew there, yeah? Very, very serious, and I don't think they take many prisoners in that gym.
Absolutely, they walk in like they mean business, I will say that. With Nate Diaz being in and around Newcastle, surely there'll be some conversations to be had?
Yeah.
It would be a massive grab for Misfits.
It's about the right fights for him, I think he does massive numbers, we all know that. I think he's a hell of a character. I don't know, I'm just getting over HS ticky-tocky, so... crikey, I don't know what the weight on Nate Diaz is. That'd be a cracking fight, him against Nate Diaz. Can you imagine that? Need armoured vans at the press conference, but yeah, no, look, he's a character, Nate Diaz, isn't he? But he's dedicated his whole life to the sport of fighting, combat sports. Fortunately for boxing, mainly on the UFC MMA side of things, but. Fascinating character, yeah. You just always got to be a little bit careful when he's about.
Oh, absolutely. And you mentioned Nate Diaz versus HS Tiki-Toki, which makes me want to go on to HS and talk about another potential fight. I'm not going to say Jake Paul. I know that's one that Mams was talking about. What about HS and Dillon Dannis? Talk about armoured vans.
Listen, we've been in talks with Dillon Dannis. Mams has been talking to Dillon Dannis about that fight.
Are you guys a little bit wary after the way the Logan Paul fight went?
Of course we are, but you're in a space, especially in Misfits, where, yes, of course, we're not going to take but we're going to take an ethical view on things, and there's certain things that political, religious, and certain other things that don't wash. But at the same time, we're in a space, it's entertainment. You look at UFC and people shake their heads at certain people that are on it, but it's an entertainment space, and I think that Dillon Dannis against HS Tiki Toki does some serious business, as we all do, and it would do for Stomping Ground as well, by the way. But at the same time, what I'm hearing is that Dillon currently don't want to box again. He wants to do MMA. I think HS has said he'd even fight him in the ring and then fight him in a cage after. He said he can't learn cage fighting that quickly. He need a bit of time for it, which I think is fair. So that offer was there made, then it's gone sort of back and forth, and hopefully it's a fight we can pull off. I think Dillon Dannis is always going to be that bad guy character. On this one, you sort of got two bad guys together. Although I do think there's a bit of good guy in HS as well. I think we'll see a bit of that, and Dillon Dannis might bring that out.
No, absolutely. You said it would be good for the Stomping Ground. For the health of the channel, please, Kalle, can I beg you, make Dillon Dannis and HS.
You like that one, yeah?
I like that one, yeah.
I'll put that on my wish list as well. I love it. I mean, Nate Diaz and HS Tiki Toki, that's a flyer, man. That's a flyer. I haven't thought about that one. It's a good one, yeah.
Start having them conversations with Nate now.
Yeah.
Harlem Eubank, I know you announced his fight on October the 25th.
We called it,
I believe, October
back
the 25th.
To business, my friends. Back to business. October 25th from the wonderful city of Brighton.
He'll be looking at that fight, but I don't want to say are you looking over it, but are you looking at just him putting a performance in and then seeing what big fights there are down the line?
We call it back to business because it needs to get back to business. We need to forget about that Adam Azim chapter. That they didn't want that, so fair enough. We roll on. And now we're doing what we did. We're taking competitive fights, keeping pushing up the rankings, improving the record, moving up the world rankings, and we'll do that. And big fights are out there. I think Conor Ben, Adam Azim, obviously Dalton Smith as well. But the thing is, those fights aren't going anywhere. They're coming, So, we want to make sure we're in the best possible position for them. But at the same time, we also, on a business front, need to have the right deal in place as well.
Do you like Ohara Davis and Adam Azim?
I do. I'm a fan of O'Hara's. I think he's.
I think it's hard not to be. The entertainment he's given us over the last few years.
I really liked his interview. I know he called promoters dogs, but
you've been called worse. I
hope you'll see me as a Labrador or a Chihuahua, one of those lovable dogs. But no, I like him as a fella. I think he talks really well, and he said some things that really made sense. I think he said he had one or two fans, and I'm thinking, well, after that interview, we definitely have a few more. But at the same time, he made some very valid points. Boxing is a cruel place. And it moves very fast, and we go from fight week to fight week, as you guys do as well. And I think the point he was making is a valid point. You move on, and I'm not going to hold myself out of this. I'm guilty of it as well. I feel really bad with a fight. I'll spend time after a fight when a fight is lost, but it depends on the fighter. Some don't want to be with their family, but some don't have a family. So then you try and take them into your family. I try everything. But the reality as well is the week after, normally you have another event, or a couple of weeks later you have another event, and then the sport just is brutal in the churn. And he makes a really valid point. Look, okay, that's the interview. I think a lot of people talk about that interview today, so I'll talk about that interview. But at the same time, I would say that the fight's a good fight. I'm not going to knock the fight. I think it's a good fight. Ohara Davis is a big handful. Ohara does turn up in different versions of himself, but if a bang on Ohara turns up, that fight is on. it's a live fight. So yeah, I think it's a good fight to make. Yeah.
Kalle, can I just ask you about a rumour that's been going around Twitter the last couple of hours? Apparently one of the fighters on the Anthony Joshua Daniel Dubois card has pulled out. Just rumour right now. Is there anything that you've heard about the potential of a
yeah,
fight being
I've been
off
travelling
of the
up here,
card?
but I can't say I've heard too much my end. But again, I've been away in, and I have had about 300 missed calls. So I don't know. It might be about that. Might be about nothing. Might be my mum telling me I left the oven on.
Fair enough. Just one more thing. What did you make of Eddie Hearn's meeting with Leonard Ellaby? He was quite friendly, I thought.
I didn't see. What did they do?
Well, they kind of crossed paths.
Oh,
and
yeah, but
after years of smack talk.
Like, come on, right? I mean, I promote Misfits, yeah? The handbags between promoters. Trying to think. The only one, I've got a great Turkish pal of mine, Ahmed Ona. He's the only one I've actually seen put it on another when promoters are really kicked off. I heard it kicked off between Frank Smith and Ben Shalom.
So you're telling me most of it is just bullshit?
You know, it's not bullshit, but like, I don't know, you ever heard me call out a promoter? No. Because I wouldn't. Because
I've heard Eddie do such to
I'm
Leonard
not going
Ellaby.
to tell him first, am I? I'm going to stick it on him. Right? I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to stick it on you. It's not the way it works. You want to stick it on someone, you stick it on them. You don't say, I'm coming to stick it on you, because then you lost the advantage of the surprise. So no, listen, especially Americans, they love a bit of hype, and they love hype around themselves as well. And Leonard's a fun guy to be around, and I think, you know, Eddie winds people up. That's what he does. He admits it himself. Eddie will comment about anything and everything, and that sometimes you look at people, what's that? Well, Eddie's like just the 2024 version of a boxing influencer as well. He's the promoter, but
Yeah, you're right. People do ask him about topics that don't even involve him.
And he's very good at doing these social media things. I've said before, he needs to be running his Saturday Night Live show because he's funny. But at the same time, it would never rub me up because I know him too well and I know exactly what buttons he's trying to push. But it clearly winds up a lot of these Americans. And I find that quite funny as well. So actually, keep it going, Eddie.